Okay, tools of the trade. Basically, mulching mowers. You can have dedicated mulchers, chippers. You can have on a more consumer level. The thing on the bottom right is a leaf vacuum from Toro, which is one of my favorite tools to deal with perennial beds and stuff like that. It will vacuum them up, shred it, and put it into a bag, and then you can just turn around and dump the bag, which is finely shredded right back onto the beds. And then, of course, I put down Mother Nature as a tool because we're all relying upon the natural processes of breakdown for this material to integrate back into the soil. Site issues, there's always going to be yes buts. Sometimes there's not enough lawn area. Okay, so you have to do tricks. Sometimes there's a lot of hardscape, and basically the trick there is to mulch it and then move it somewhere once it's been shredded up. Some of the landscapers will, in fact, move it onto the lawn first, mulch it, and then move it into the beds, for instance. Obviously, we said the landscape beds are a problem. You got to be careful when you're handling it. You don't want to overwork your beds. You know, you can do a lot of destruction to ground covers, etc., by the simple process of leaf removal. So as long as you're careful about removing the leaves from the beds, shredding and putting back in, you're okay. Again, that's a lot of training of crews to be sure they're doing it kind of light-handed. Wooded areas, we already talked about. Wooded areas are a perfect sink to put excess leaves in. And finally, there's always a talk about too many leaves, but what we found is typically the shredding, it says 10 to 1 here. It could be, you know, anywhere from 6 to 8 to 1 to 10 to 1, depending on how much you shred. And so the material disappears very quickly. The volume of material disappears very quickly. Okay, now I just wanted to put a little jab over here about some of the other things that go along with the process of fall leaf cleanup, and that's that we all, you know, it's not mow and blow, it's blow and blow, because that's what happens in the fall, and why a lot of people are talking about blower bans. Now, the blowers still have to be used to manage the material, especially pre-shredding, but you need to use the blowers a lot less, because you can just create organize a few piles, get them off the pavement, and then do the shredding. You don't have to blow everything into larger piles to be collected to be blown down to the street, for instance. So it does reduce your blow time significantly. And just for those who need to have a reminder, you know, blowing the leaves off the landscape beds and other areas kills the topsoil effectively. And it also creates unnecessary noise pollution, and all the particulates in the air can lead to asthma and allergy impacts on kids and adults both. And finally, you know, as we know, transporting the leaves off-site waste energy and so forth. Okay, now we're going to talk about, just as again, a little bit of aside from the main line. The process started in the fall in Irvington, and there was some activity in Hastings on this initiative, and I'm not sure where else, but that's the ones I know about. Definitely going on during last fall season. And we found some interesting things happening already. A whole bunch of sharing activity was going on. There were people that basically didn't have enough leaves, and so they were asking neighbors for leaves. Or in the case of Irvington, they asked the DPW to deliver leaves to them because they really wanted more for their property. So, you know, of course, that's not going to be the case everywhere. But so this informal sharing goes on. There was also a very interesting process going on in Irvington where neighbors got together and someone, you know, invested in a leaf shredder, and like from Garden Supply, and then they ended up sharing it amongst the whole block. And so that works really good because you only need the leaf shredder for a few hours, then you pass it down to the next property. And then, you know, there's an idea of collecting leaves for the community gardens or the school gardens. Also, there was some activity with scout groups getting involved in kind of block shredding parties. And then, you know, one of the focuses of the Love 'em and Leave 'em, the LELE or LILA, as we call it, initiative is actually to go and start organizing in neighborhoods block by block, have people pledge to be basically a shredding zone or a no-hull zone. And so we also have some signs for that purpose, for PR purposes. You might have seen one coming in the door, a yard sign. Okay, is it working? Well, how can you tell if it's working? Well, you know, we do have testimonials. We have testimonials of various landscapers and we intend to get more property owners and grounds managers. That material, some of it is on our website right now, and you know, there's some available at the Bedford website.
Leave the Leaves Alone.
Leave the Leaves Alone, yeah. Is that .com or .org? I don't remember, but anyways, it's a new initiative out of Bedford, sort of based on, you know, inspired by what we're doing, and it does have various testimonials on there as well. Okay, model properties, basically we want to try to highlight a few visible properties, like a property of someone who's a public figure, let's say, that whose property is being managed this way. A lot of it is to get over the argument, well, it's not going to look good. We want to show properties which basically look great and have had this going on for a while. Trial areas, you know, especially if you're running a business, maybe a condo association that you're a property manager for, you know, don't commit to the whole property, just try a section and see how it looks. And once you go through a season or two, you'll know that it works, and then you can convert the whole property over. And then, of course, there's the monitoring. You know, you've got to monitor the budgets, and of course, that is an ongoing thing, and you're always looking retroactively when, you know, the year passed to see the impacts. But the key on a municipal budget is not to overpromise. You want to promise reasonable percentage decreases, and you know, the first couple of years are going to be slow as people pick up the process and more property managers and landscapers start to learn about it and start to implement it. Public outreach, educational materials. As an example, the initiative put together bookmarks that have basically a URL to our website, on the village website, and it has how to do it and the benefits of it. So it's something we hand out publicly for people to remind them, and then we also developed a how-to card more extensively, again with how-to and the benefits, one side English, one side Spanish, geared toward landscapers and their crews. We hand that stuff out all the time. And then we have what we call a toolbox on our website, which a lot of public domain resources, all these files and graphics, logos and signs, they're all there and ready for you to take and modify to change it from Irvington to you know, whatever you need to change it to. We're doing a grant from Clean Air, Cool Planet, which is going to be specifically about setting up those community no-haul zones this fall. And forums, of course, we're doing forums at GNC, and we're doing this forum, and we've been talking to everyone we can and presenting to various boards, including Greenburgh Town Board several times. And then we're working with all the other groups, all the other likely victims, Grassroots, the Yonkers Green Policy Task Force, and so forth. And of course, we're going to rely on you for public outreach. The more you know about it and the more you tell people about it, you know, this whole event, to make it work, it really has to spread virally. Okay, so again, here's just a short list of the sort of resources that are on the website. And I just made a note that it's a Creative Commons license, which means feel free to share, use it, share it, whatever you want. All you have to do, if we ask you, just say it came from Irvington Green Policy Task Force originally. And finally, there's the sign that we're created for this process for the homeowners and landscapers, and then there's the URL, irvington.gov/green, irvingtonnewyork.gov/green. And there's a lot of material there and video clips. Now, I'm supposed to show a video clip of Chris DePauli of the Parks Department of Irvington, and we had some equipment, I don't know what the word, it's not even malfunctions, just brain dead. You know, we didn't even think about speakers, so I can't, you know, you can watch them talk, but you're not going to be able to hear them. So what I'm going to tell you in about 30 seconds is what he actually said, which is they've been doing mulching in place on Irvington Parks properties for the last few years, and they were really kind of pushed into it because of lack of staffing, actually. And what he's found is, for instance, on the ball fields, he's found that over the last couple of years, the ball fields have significantly increased drainage capability. They can absorb a lot more water. He says he can play sooner and longer after a rainstorm than most of the other fields or the school district's fields. The soil quality is such that turf is more resistant to drought conditions. They can play longer into the hot weather and take more stress. So he's very happy, to say the least, about the quality of the turf and how it holds up to fairly active play. His second point was they did the same thing with Love 'em and Leave 'em in Matheson Park, which, as you know, is a really beautiful park along the river. And they went underneath the large oak trees into the picnic table area, which had generally been, imagine under large oak trees, it's dirt, right? Or typically it's dirt. He's been mulching in place now for a number of years, and I was just there yesterday looking out, and he's got a really good growth of turf at this point under the tables, under the trees around the table. So it really does look like a good, you know, the way you say use a model property. That's a great model property for people who are municipal groundskeepers or responsible for municipal parks and stuff. All right, so sorry that I couldn't show Chris. He's good. He's very amicable and entertaining, but that was what he would have said. So thank you very much. I've taken enough time.
Thanks very much, Mark. Very good.